Hey, Better Together fans. Today I am with Twilight star and storyteller Peter Facinelli, but we're not going to be talking so much about Twilight and storytelling as much as we're going to talk about hypnosis. Aren't we, Peter?
Yes, you will love the episode. You will love the episode.
You really will, though. Stay tuned.
And hit subscribe.
Hey, Better Together fans. It's not Better Together with Maria Menounos. Well, it is Better Together with Maria Menounos. Except I'm not Maria Menounos. I'm Mr. Maria Menounos. Subbing in for my lovely and talented wife. I will be joined in the booth by Kelsey and Pooja. And I think what you kids like to do here, you youngins like to do, is you do a quote of the day, if I recall.
Yeah, we love our quote of the day.
Sometimes while you're cooking, it's messy, but the outcome is good. The end result is all that counts. That is by Peter Facinelli, who will be our guest today. If you're a fan of the Twilight series, as many of us are, then you know Peter's work. He's a director, but he also stumbled onto practicing hypnotherapy. Not just practicing it, but actually...
He's certified.
Yeah. I'm in.
I know. I'm excited. When I saw that, I was like, no way. I'm really excited for you two to talk about it.
Well, I've always said, I've heard that mental health often, unless it's chemical imbalances in you that's causing poor mental health, but often I've heard it's things that are deep in your subconscious. And so while talk therapy is great, sometimes you have to get to the subconscious and the unconscious. And that's where meditation comes in and tapping and EMDR. But man, hypnotherapy, open up that hood, Kelsey, get under that hood and start fixing stuff. So I don't know. So I'm super, super excited to talk to him today. Kelsey.
Kevo.
From at this point, so what do you guys, I haven't done this in a while.
You're killing it.
We just go right into the show?
Are you ready? Do you want me to read the intro? We can get to Peter.
He ready.
He ready. You basically already gave him a beautiful intro. This is what I wrote for Kevin, you guys to read. I said, look out, werewolves, because today we have the vampire of all vampires, Dr. Carlisle Colin in the house. I wish Peter was here to hear me say that.
Well, you know what? Listen. Can we just back up for 1 second?
Yeah.
And I know this is probably out of the ordinary for Better Together with Maria Menounos, so I apologize. You can just scroll right across for another 30 seconds or a minute. Are you a vampire or a werewolf?
Vampire, baby.
Really?
Yeah.
Why are you a vampire? So, by the way,
Poochie's shaking her head. She's a werewolf?
Kids, wait. Everyone pump the brakes now one at a time.
Whoa.
I think there's a vast difference between the vampires and the werewolves. Kelsey, this surprises me. You are a vampire.
Well, I thought they were always just more attractive, to be honest.
So just on a shallow level?
Yes. I was never, I'm not going to lie to you, I liked Twilight, but I wasn't like an avid Twilighter. So I just went, based off of, it was a vanity play for me. I was like, they're hotter. So.
Okay, so that was it.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson. Wait till you guys see Peter's face. Yeah.
Okay.
Vampires. But
all right.
Poochie's shaking her head going, Team Werewolf over
here. Poochie Bear?
Yeah. I also I wasn't like a huge Twilight person, but I just thought the werewolves were hotter. So I was always Team Werewolf.
Wow.
Like Taylor Lautner, love of my life. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So that was my...
Too bad he's got engaged.
Now, I don't think Poochie's on camera, kids.
No, she's not.
I'm taking notes on the side, so you don't want to hear me clicking and clacking.
Oh, look.
So you guys get to look at me while you hear Pooja.
You guys are so good at your jobs. Okay.
There, I popped in and said hi.
All right. I think I always thought there was a psychological play. You guys are just looking at aesthetics.
Yeah.
Right.
I want you to talk to Peter about
the vampires, they're late night, they're brooding, they're a little more subdued. I feel like
I think I like that.
The wolf is hunting by day.
Yeah, they're just stronger. They're
different kind of strength.
I like the mystery of the vampires. Yeah, maybe, which is a toxic thing.
I was watching, when Maria and I would watch these movies. This is why I love Maria. She's so cool. She just leans over and she goes, we're wolves, right?
Wait, you have to tell him this. I'm so curious.
All right, so let's do the intro. Oh my God. This is why Maria doesn't like me doing this show.
Here we go. Here we
Okay.
go. Peter Facinelli is an actor, writer, producer. He starred as Donovan Van Ray on the Fox series Fastline, played Dr. Carlisle Cullen in Twilight, and is also known for his role as Mike Dexter in the film Can't Hardly Wait, just to name a few things. He is the founder of the production company Facinelli Films and has also written and produced for the Hallmark Channel. Kevin got excited about that.
Yes.
Peter is fascinated with the mind and conscious living and resorted to hypnotherapy to help with anxiety. He actually got certified in it. So today we will be talking to him about that. Better Together and the Heal Squad are very excited to welcome Peter Facinelli.
So we just coming right out of the gate at you, Peter. We just got into a brief discussion about who we relate more to, the vampires or the wolves, harkening back to your Twilight days. Maria thought that she and I were much more on the wolf side of things in terms of how we live our lives. Kelsey is much more with the vampires, and
Yep.
Pooja in the booth was Team Wolf, but I don't know for them if it's more who they had crushes on back then when they saw it.
So you had more of a crush on Taylor Lautner, you're saying?
Kevin did, yes.
Yeah, probably
Yes.
a nice man crush on him. I think I related more to the wolves, than I did the vampires.
Okay.
But had that discussion ever come up where personality types relate to one or the other?
No, I think it was more like who they found more attractive.
It just went down to that. No one went any deeper.
Just went down to that. Yeah. I'm not even sure what the vampire world represents and what the werewolf world represents.
Well, to us, they were, I feel like more brooding, more goth-like, taking on the personality types of people in that world. Mm-hmm. And I thought the wolves seem more extroverted. Again, probably looking way, but Peter, this is what happens when
this is a whole episode. This is a whole episode in and of itself.
Well, I guess no, really, it isn't, because I'm the only one seeing it this way. But this is why everyone over 45 just stop watching Star Wars and these movies. Move on. Go to like Sophie's Choice, or I don't know. Go back and watch Godfather. This is why we're probably not supposed to be watching these movies, Peter. Peter, I'm super excited to talk to you because, listen, as a filmmaker, I could go off and off about your films, and I think at some other point I would love to with you. But right now, I want to talk about your journey through COVID and how it changed you, and then I really want to get into the hypnotherapy end of things. So can you just back up a little bit and tell us maybe what was going on with you in COVID and how it affected you?
When COVID hit and then everything got, locked down, I think it was March 2020. It was like the hamster wheel broke, I'm so used to going, jumping on a plane and going here and going there. And then we had nowhere to go. Like everything was shut down, and it was a little stir crazy. And at first it was like, oh, this is kind of nice, a little vacation. And then like another month went by, month went by. So I couldn't go out. So then I started going in, which was kind of nice because I was a doer and not a beer. And so it forced me to just be. And so I realized like, you're always kind of in your mind anyways. Like when you're here, you want to be there, and then you get there and you wish you were back home, Right. So being able to just I meditated more, I worked out more. I was able to just practice guitar more. I was able to just do things, to kind of nurture my soul. And then I took this hypnotherapy course and became certified in hypnotherapy, mainly because I've always been fascinated with the mind and what the mind is capable of. And, people say, which is true, whether you can, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. It's just a mindset. So whether you think you can do something or you think you can't do something, you're always going to be right in what you believe. And so hypnotherapy kind of goes in there and just helps the reprogramming of what your belief system is.
Okay. So can you take me through the process, not the process of how you learned it, but you're not hypnotizing yourself, are you?
I could make myself tapes.
And do you do that?
Yeah. Yeah, I've done that. And then I'll listen to them before bed or when I'm meditating.
So when do you work with clients or friends, people?
No, I mean, I do it mostly. I did it mostly for myself, but also like I've helped like family, mainly family or friends. I had a friend who was kind of like gets nervous flying, so I helped him. My daughter also is nervous flyer. I helped her. My sister had anxiety at one point, and I was like helping her. Have you ever done hypnotherapy?
I did once. I have ADD, so it's sometimes hard for me. Meditation and that is a challenge for me to stay focused. But I did do it like once or twice. But I deeply believe in subconscious and unconscious type of therapies to really get to the root of whatever is affecting you.
Did you do it in person or did you do it like over
in person? And the person, I think it was like literally got like a pen and went left, right, and had my eyes follow.
Focus, and then you just close your eyes. Yeah, well, there's when you're doing hypnotherapy, there's really two ways to get into the subconscious, and so it really depends on who you're working with. So a lot of times, like for you, since you have like an active mind, you could it's like, think of your subconscious as like a bouncer at the door, right? And you're trying to get into the club, but you have to get past the bouncer. The bouncer is your rational mind. That's like, this isn't going to work. And, I don't believe in this. And, telling you all these, just kind of blocking the suggestions. So at first, as a hypnotherapist, what I could do is two things. I could either put somebody to sleep and relax them into a relaxed state where their mind goes into beta, and then I can give them suggestions, right? Or other people who have a very active mind, you could actually use that, and I would just keep your mind busy. So I would give you a task instead of trying to rest your mind, because your mind is so active. I would give you a task, like, for example, maybe, I want you to picture a blackboard, and then I want you to just write the alphabet, a big letter A, and then circle it. And then I want you to erase the big letter A and then make it a small letter A. But it's a small circle, so the letters can't touch the circle. And if you touch the circle in your mind, you got to go back to the beginning. And then you take them through that alphabet, and so you give them this activity to do, and then it starts to put them into a relaxed state in a weird way, because their minds are busy,
Are they actually doing the activity, or is it in their mind?
No, it's just in their mind.
Okay.
It's just in their mind. So I would choose, just by getting to know somebody, I would choose either, keeping their mind active and then putting them into a relaxed state, or I could relax them in a way where I could put the bouncer to sleep or keep them busy, basically. You know what I mean? So for you, I would probably, maybe the trying to relax you made you more anxious, right?
Mm-hmm.
And made you think more. So if I give you something to focus on, something to put your attention on, and give you an activity to do, and you're really focused on that, then the bouncer in your mind gets busy. You know what I mean? And after a while, the resistance stops. And after a while, you start to get into a relaxed space.
So as I'm doing that, I'm envisioning the blackboard, and I'm, what are you going to be saying to me?
Well, firstly,
focusing on a core problem, or is it general?
No, I would have you do that for a little while, and then I would also start to relax you at the same time. So as you're doing that, then I might give you another activity to do. I could also, reinforce before I even get into the suggestions of it. You know what I mean? I would have you do things like maybe raise your arm and then lower it slowly, so that you're basically, I know that you're following instructions. Because if you're following my instructions, then you're going to take my suggestions, because you're doing everything I'm asking you to do already, right? You're creating this blackboard, you're doing the letters, you're raising your arm, you're lowering your arm. So now I'm giving you more instructions, and the more instructions that I give you, the next instructions would be the suggestions. So your subconscious is absorbing those suggestions. Now, when you're hypnotized, it's not like in the movies where all of a sudden you're clucking like a chicken. It's really putting your mind in a relaxed state. And then as I give you these suggestions and you absorb them, you're a willing participant. Like, I can't ever get you to do anything you don't want to do. Right. So if you come to me with anxiety and you want to get rid of your anxiety, you're meeting me 50%. You're saying, I don't want this anxiety anymore. If you're afraid of flying and you're saying, I no longer want to be afraid of flying, you're already 50% there, and I'm just helping guide you, you know? So it's hard to, like, I could never say, do you have a favorite sports team?
Yeah, I'd say probably the Boston Celtics.
Okay. So if I was like, you know, I want to hypnotize you into being a New York basketball fan, you know, like your mind doesn't want that. So I can't force you to do something that you don't want to do, right. You know? So I'm there as a hypnotherapist more to guide you into allowing yourself to believe the suggestions that you already want to believe, you know?
So if someone's afraid of flying, they don't want to be afraid anymore. Mm-hmm. You've got them doing this exercise, let's say, in their mind, their blackboard, things like that. You're getting them to lift their arm and do things to get them to be distracted / relaxed. And then is it a matter of just saying, like, flying is safe? Flying
is safe. Flying is fun. I would associate things like create something in your life, in your mind, that you feel safe doing, that you feel completely comfortable doing. Now imagine that you're flying and you're doing that. And so you want to equate the feeling of flying with the feeling of safety and comfort. Because right now the person has a belief system that flying is dangerous. It's just a belief system. That's all it is, you know? Like as a matter of fact, I had somebody yesterday, I flew yesterday, and there's a friend that was sitting in another area of the plane, but he was talking to me and he said, I'm really afraid of flying. And he told me the story that right before they took off, this girl was like, wouldn't shut her phone down, you know, and was getting very agitated because he was like, he's so afraid of flying that he thinks if she doesn't, you know, put her phone down and shut it off, the plane might go down. And I was like, I know that's a rule at the airport, but I've never heard of a news report that was like the whole plane went down because one of the passengers decided not to shut their phone off. Like, I don't know what that rule is for, but I've forgotten to shut my phone off and the plane's been fine. So like whatever the believability he had, or this belief system, makes him terrified of flying. It's kind of like you can believe something else. And if you focus your attention and belief on something else and associate that with the flying, then all of a sudden your subconscious is like, okay, it's now safe. It's safe. You know, I feel good. Or, you know, when I think about flying, I feel like it's an adventure. You know, do you like going on road trips? Yeah. Well, flying is just a road trip in the air, you know? And so you give them these suggestions and mental pictures of feeling safe and comfortable and actually happy. And you'll be surprised, like it stays with you, you know, or you might give them a specific thing, like with their fingers, when you press your fingers together, the waves of you know, safety and the feelings of comfort will come flooding back to you. So you give them a lot of, it's like a massage for the mind, really. It's like you know, you're going in there and just kind of helping the mind relax, and then creating a new belief system that they can linger onto, because it's all thoughts. That's all it is. If there was a stick on the ground and you thought it was a snake, you would freak out. And your body would freak out. Oh my God, I hate snakes, and I'm deathly terrified of snakes. And all of a sudden you realize, oh, it's just a stick. Then your nervous system calms down. You feel okay. But you reacted as though that was a snake. So your body reacts to whatever you believe and think. And so being able to go in and, you know, retrain your mind and you know, create new belief systems. You know, if you have like a big speech or something you have to give, and you're like, oh my God, you're already mentally preparing for the speech, and you're picturing it going bad, and you're having anxiety. And it's like, you could just as easily picture it going really well and being like everybody happy and clapping and excited and a standing ovation. But we want to have this, our minds want to have this like safety thing that it's like, oh, we want to protect ourselves. But I feel like anxiety is just a misuse of and worry. Like worry and anxiety is a misuse of the imagination, because you're taking this the situation and then you're creating a story around it that's bad, and then you're already living in the torture of it failing, of you being upset. And you could just as easily put yourself in a relaxed state and imagine yourself succeeding and seeing a positive outcome. And then you feel good, you know? And if you honestly like practice that enough, I mean, people in sports do this all the time. They mentally prepare and they see the game before they play it. And they see all, themselves scoring baskets and and that mentality going in builds their confidence, right? And then they feel like, oh, the outcome is going to be good. I've already seen it, as opposed to living in fear, anxiety, and worry and using your imagination in that negative way.
It's funny, Maria. Yes, because Maria's working a lot with Dr. Joe Dispenza. And
I love Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Right? Yeah.
I've been to his courses, did a week long.
Do you do any of his practices still?
Yeah. I mean, he's used to do hypnosis too when he was younger, and a lot of his stuff, is kind of based on that, and his meditations are based on that. He guides you in a way that's kind of hypnotic. I love his work though, and the results are incredible. I've seen, heard stories of people curing themselves of cancers, of stage 4 cancers, and he talks a lot about that too, like the mental practice, like going into your mind and seeing things, and then having it manifest. Because if you think about it, it makes sense. If you're sitting there worrying that you're going to fail, and then you do, it's because your belief system was, I'm going to fail at this thing, and then you get up there and you fail at it, and then you've manifested it, because you've created it by imagining it to be that way. Now, if you can harness your energy, and either through meditation or hypnosis, and then focus on the positive, and it's easier said than done, because your mind always wants to go towards protecting yourself,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, what if it's the best speech you ever gave? What if this thing happened and it was so good and everybody loved it? And then you're like, wow, that would feel really good. Now you're sitting in those feelings, right? And that's what Joe Dispenza talks about. It's like imagining this thing, sitting in the feelings of as if those things have already happened. And then you'll be surprised that the manifestation of powers of it becoming that way, because you believe it to be so, And he talks about that all the time. Like, your mind doesn't know the difference between thinking something and actually having it occur. And he'll do the lemon experiment. If you sit there and you imagine, if you really close your eyes and imagine a lemon, and imagine cutting that lemon, and then smell it, and then imagine just like squeezing that lemon and tasting it and feeling the seeds in your mouth, your saliva glands will start producing saliva.
Mm-hmm.
You start to feel like, and you don't even have the lemon. There's nothing there. It's just in your mind, but your body is reacting to the thought. It's the same thing where, somebody cuts you off and you get angry, and then all day long you're thinking about that guy that cut you off, and you're upset about the event, and you're just like, what a jerk, blah, blah. And you're creating you're creating the emotions. Yes. The event happened. It's gone. It's in the past. So your thoughts are like, it's like a radio station, and you sit there and you go, okay, well, what frequency do I want to be on? What radio station do I want to tune to? And and that's what he talks about, being aware, right? Because your body and your mind is on a program all day long, and it's just kind of following the same program it did yesterday, and you react to the same things the same way you did yesterday. So now, if you can become aware of how you're reacting, right? So all of a sudden today somebody cuts you off and you're like, God damn it. And you get so angry, and then you're like, why am I getting angry?
Yeah. Why?
I mean, guy made a mistake. All right. What triggers me about that? Is there an event that happened? Is it about control? And you start to question it, but even like trying to figure out the why you react a certain way,
I feel that's helpful.
Yeah. Because then you can change how you react. Some people, you would be more compassionate. Oh my God, that guy almost got us into an accident, but I'm sure, I'm so glad that we're both okay, and you live in the gratitude of like, nobody got hurt. You know what I mean?
Peter, I'm curious, what led you to Dr. Joe? Like, was there something that you were like, oh my gosh, my anxiety is crippling. I got to, what was it that you were like, oh, I want to start this work?
I just didn't feel, I don't want to answer for, I feel like he's just on the journey to get
better. I'm laughing because I think Dr. Joe would say the universe led me to him. You know what I mean? Because like you have, again, a frequency, and like, what is it attracting? Well, I want answers. I want to find out like how to be a better person. How can I react differently to things that trigger me so much? How can I grow? And you're always kind of searching, and all of a sudden something will pop up and oh, this looks interesting. And then I always say, like, I feel like life is like Netflix, where, the more you watch, the more Netflix will recommend something like that. Right. So the more you're focused on whatever you're focused on, right, all of a sudden the universe will be sending you more of that. Oh, you like this? Here's more of it. So if you're focused on really like, I'm depressed, I'm angry, I'm sad, then okay, well,
we'll give you
more suggestions. You like sad stuff, you like depressed stuff. Here's more of that. You like to be frustrated. Here's more. So I don't know. You ever hear the story of the Chinese farmer?
Maybe, but probably, I'd love to hear it.
So there's a farmer, a Chinese farmer, and he was with his son, and they had this small farm, and these horses came through, and they were like these wild horses, and his son was like, "Oh my God, this is so amazing! Like, now we could use these horses to farm the land." And the Chinese father said, "Well, maybe," and so they used the horses to farm the land. And then one day the son was out riding it, and he fell off the horse and broke his leg. And he cursed all the horses. Like, if those horses didn't come here, my leg would be fine. And now I can't work the field. This is the worst thing ever. And his father said, "Well, maybe." And then the week later, this war breaks out, and they come through town. They take all the 18 to 21-year-olds, but he had a broken leg, so he couldn't go to war. So, he was then again happy that the horses were there. So it's like the same event. These horses came through town, and he has all these different feelings about it, but you never know. Like, the fact that he broke his leg was the best thing that could have happened to him. So if you just trust sometimes that everything's happening for me, not to me, then you could start to put the perspective of like really changing how you feel. Like, for example, my flight yesterday, I woke up and I overslept, and I missed my flight because I was, and I thought I got first I was freaking out because I got so much to do. I have to be back in LA. And I thought, this is just part of the journey. Whatever the reason was, I missed the flight. And then I wasn't stressed about it anymore. I got to the airport on a different flight. I got in later than expected, but I'm still here. I had to move a couple of things around, but I could have been completely stressed and freaked out the whole entire day. And look, I was for a minute, and then I caught myself, and I was like, I don't want to be stressed and freaked out the whole day. So I let it go, and I made a couple of calls. And like, the way you react to something is in your control. Everything outside of that is not always in your control. But how you react to it and how you perceive things is in your control.
It's funny, here's the troubling part is that I have seen people who, or going to athletes or people who have goals, and it's the fear in them, and the negative thoughts that have actually motivated them to succeed. And so that's where it's like, it's a little tricky, because I've then seen the other people who embrace and visualize the positivity and visualize the speech going great or the game going great. I think it's not a substitute for work. You still have to do the work. And you still have to practice your free throws or whatever it is that you're doing. You have to practice that speech, because I think you can have false confidence and walk in. Whereas I've seen actors and, really have to have no one around them, and they're really neurotic and crazy, but then they deliver the most amazing scene. Yeah. And I feel like everyone's process is different. But that's always the part for me, is I look at some of my anger and some of my listen, through the 20s through up to this till the pandemic, I would say that a lot of the fears and anger I've used as fuel to kind of survive this business and to achieve what we've been able to achieve. That's just being said, I also realize that has only taken me so far, and it has physically depleted and exhausted me too.
Yeah.
Where I think the way what you're talking about, as long as you do the work, you're willing to do the work. That's the way. Going back to sports, I look at Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, or I look at Sugar Ray Leonard versus Marvin Hagler, and all of them. They're my idols, but there's a vast difference between Bird and Magic and Sugar Ray Leonard and Hagler. And I know I'm dating myself, but the Haglers and the Larry Birds were the angry, fear-based. Jordan too, just, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I got to prove myself. And then, Sugar Ray and Magic were Shaquille O'Neal too, much lighter. It was they played hard when the bell rang or the whistle blew to start the game, but then they could just leave it behind. And I've talked to them, by the way, not all of them, but many of those men I've actually talked to about it. And I think the latter, when I look at today, I see Sugar Ray Leonard, I see Magic Johnson, they look younger, healthier. I think it's far more taxing to be in that other state that I mentioned.
Yeah, I think it's just two routes to get to the same goal, right? So I would say but
I think this route, my route, this old route I think is more depleting.
Well, I think it's also just belief systems. There's a part of you, your subconscious believes that you thrive under pressure, that you thrive when you feel like your back is against the wall and you have to do this or you're going to fail.
Yeah, counterpunching.
Yeah. And whatever that belief system is, explore that. When did I get that belief? Because you didn't grow up with it. You didn't all of a sudden be born. You're coming out of the womb fighting. I got to get out to survive. Somewhere along the line, you picked up this belief system.
Yeah.
Right. And it served you up to this point. And maybe there's a fear of letting it go because if I let that go, maybe I won't be successful. Right. But that's a limiting belief, because I would say to you, what if you could actually really enjoy and have fun and use, instead of fear, you turn that fear into excitement, because fear and excitement is a very similar frequency, right?
Yes.
So if you get on a ride and that, roller coaster ride, and you're like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm on this ride. And you get fear. And then all of a sudden you go on the second time and you know what it's going to be like. And you use that fear now and you're excited, right? So now I would say to you, what if you could turn that fear that's motivated you, and what if you could turn it just into excitement and be like, you know what, I'm excited to do this next thing. And the only person I'm competing with is myself, because I want to be better than the last thing I was. You know what I mean? And there's nobody, I don't have to compete against anybody. I'm just literally going to focus on my job and I want to have fun with it. I'm excited to do it. And you take all of that and that becomes your new belief system. And then that motivates you. And then you're actually, if you're producing the same results, or if not even going further, but at the same time, it's an enjoyable process.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. It doesn't even age you. When I look at those other men I talked about that do embrace that, that's why I feel they're a lot healthier as a result. I think I go back and forth. There's part of me it's the fun and excitement. Then the other part is, okay, snap to it. The way to make it, or the way to protect those around me, is to stay vigilant. But back with you, Peter.
But wait, just on that note, I don't see any difference between if I was going out and doing this job for excitement and fun, you know what I mean? I feel like you would do the same amount of work.
I would.
The same amount, you know what I mean? And get to this, and it would still be protecting your family and your income and all that. And it's just a matter of getting to the point of, I'm tired of feeling motivated by stress, and I'm tired of being motivated by feeling like I'm not enough and I have to make it, and I'm being squeezed into the pressure of this and the outcome of it, right? Because if you could shift that mindset and go, I've been doing this for a while. I'm good at what I do, and I believe that what I do is helping the world and helping me, and why wouldn't people want to buy whatever I'm doing because I'm enjoying it. And my dad always used to say to me, don't ever focus on, making money. If just focus on doing what you love, because if you do what you love, you're going to do it really well because you love doing it. And if you do it well, then people will pay you well, and that was a belief system that I kind of grew up with. So it's just a matter of like, belief systems can be changed all the time. Sometimes we don't want to because we're always afraid of change, but I think hypnosis helps with that, helps with belief systems.
I think change is also hard too. So even if it's, it's not scary. Yeah. For me, I think it's just more, I've been so physically depleted that the only thing that gets me my energy back can be anger. Sometimes, but excitement and fun things too. Like if there's a fun project, then I'm all in too. So you're speaking gospel. I love this. And we Peter, were you always like this? Did we always this kind of Zen way, or did you go through like an ugly side of your 20s where you had to grow into this? Because I'm fascinated with people's DNA. Because I swear, some people just are born with this, and others have to work it.
Definitely messaging as you grow up programs things, and that's why I said like go back and start thinking about like, well, when did I fail at something and go, I have to do this because you're afraid to fail in some way. Like think back to your childhood. I bet you there's somewhere in there that you were like, felt the pressure, and then you succeeded with that pressure, and you were like, aha. This is how I can succeed, because if I'm under this pressure, I succeeded this time, But then know that was just that one instance in time. And then think, is there a time where you succeeded where you weren't under pressure? I don't know, Then start thinking, could you succeed where you're not under pressure if you just actually really got up and did it for the love of doing it and enjoyment, And the imagination is the best tool that we have as human beings, because everything comes from it, right? If I want to build a chair, I got to imagine what that chair is going to look like first. So I've already built it in my mind. And then I got to go out and get the supplies to do it. And then sometimes it doesn't quite look like I want it.
Take it over to making a film.
Yeah.
You have the film in your brain, but then you have to get it on paper, and then you have to get other people to, it's a long road to get.
Well, they say when you do a film, there's 3 films. There's the one you write, the one you make, and then the one you edit. And at a certain point, you have to give over to the edit and go, oh, it kind of wants to go this way. I thought it was going this way, but this is what it wants to be. And you can shape it a little bit, but at a certain time, you have to give it up to what it wants to be. So there's a lot of control. We want to control so much because of protection.
I mean, that's where we're really splitting hairs, because we're getting into film stuff. But at the same time, I guess there's a universal thing in filmmaking I think we can all relate to. When do you give up control? Because I've seen just as many times on both ends where the artist would not relent control, would not listen to other forces, and something that really could have been amazing ended up being a flop. But then I've seen the flip, where the artist knew in their heart of hearts the way to make the project in the greatest way, and then got overpowered by other forces, and then it was a flop too.
Right.
So it's tricky how to know when to bend and not break.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't fight your battles, right? I'm saying more in the sense of when you're in the editing room.
No, and I know you're not. What I want to know is how do you just assess when to fight those battles? Whether it's your child in school, any project you're doing, you're always going to have other cooks come into the kitchen. And when is the time where you go, guys, you just have to. It's funny. I just heard a great story from someone in the business whose name I don't want to give, but it went back to a Beatles song. It actually wasn't a Beatles song. It was a Motown song that the Beatles covered. My God, it wasn't. Damn, I wasn't prepared to do this. But anyway, there's a Motown classic that the Beatles covered that became a #1 hit for them. So the Beatles management team called up Barry Gordy, the head of Motown, and said, listen, can we use this song on our album? And he said, let me think about it. And Barry was like, we're Motown and they're taking our music and we don't need the Beatles. Like our stuff is amazing and it's very popular. And his whole team said, no, you don't understand, Barry. Like this is the Beatles. They're the biggest band in the history of rock and roll. They're bigger than everything. And if we're part of them, it's going to be great for us. So he goes against his better judgment. He relents and they end up putting out the album and it's very successful for the Beatles. What he came to find out later was that the Beatles team had actually recorded and pressed. They went ahead and recorded the song, pressed it, and it was ready to go out to stores in a matter of days. And had Barry held to his ground, he would have gotten everything he wanted. He would have said, yeah, fine, but I'm going to have half of whatever. Right. They would have given him anything. Yeah. And he's like, that's it. I'm sticking to my heart. And now that's a problem too, because now forever, probably every decision he may have to make, he's always going to stick to his heart. So it's tricky when you're in that position to know when to stick to your heart and when to listen to outside forces or let those outside force. You know what I mean? It's
100%. There's a tons of times where, I'm editing or have a picture and, you're just at like a standstill of like, look, and you fight for what you believe in, sometimes you have to be more collaborative and be like, okay, I'll, give up this battle to win this battle, it's all, but what my whole thing is about control is a lot of times you can't control the outside situation, right? So if the outside situation happens and it's something you cannot
like control. In other words, the president of Universal says, hey, you're editing it this way, buddy, or we're throwing it away. Yeah. You have no control over that.
You have no control. So you have to change the perception of how you feel about it because it doesn't service you to be angry, bitter, and frustrated. You're just putting that frequency out. And again, you're asking the universe, the Netflix of the universe to give you more of that, right? So to go, okay, I don't have this in my control. I'm just going to have to let it go. You know what I mean? And letting it go you're not going to get any other result. Like you're not going to change the result. You know what I mean? If you can't change the result out there on the outside, but you can change the perception of it on the inside, right? So I think that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no. Like, and by the way, I'm not criticizing you or anything. Right. I'm trying to get the secret sauce to help me and help our audience. Yeah. So I think you're right. You're onto something with the outside forces you can't control. And then I think it's at some point letting it go when what you don't have control of, you let it go. I will add one asterisk though, where you say, okay, next time, what have I learned? What are the lessons for next time I do this? Because what I see, unfortunately, Peter, in our business and in life, is I see people, their version of let go is they quit. They quit their dreams. Yeah, they quit their businesses. They quit. And there are cynical people say, well, they weren't meant to make it anyway. That makes me feel really bad. So I think it's more letting go of that thing and that result and taking away what lessons you can. Say, okay, so next time now we're going to do it in a different way. Because I look at like a Sylvester Stallone and how many times he's been knocked down in our business, but he comes back he gets up. Well, he gets up, but I've had the pleasure of having this discussion with him, but I said, he's almost put that narrative out to the world where you have to get knocked down to be able to get back up and to, or life is just about hanging in and getting beat up for 15 rounds. And so I say to him, like, unfortunately, you kind of have to keep living this because you put it out there. But he's one of those guys that gets knocked down and then he uses his motivation to get back up. And that's his process. But I feel, I think it's the more Zen 21st century process is what you're talking about. And that's what I want to learn. And I think if more people learn it and adapt to it, they're going to have longer lives. They're going to be a lot happier.
Yeah, I mean, all you could do is whatever you got to think of the outside world as a mirror and the inside world is you, right? So
explain that to me, because Maria's always saying that to me too.
Yeah. Okay. So like, if you want the mirror to do something, how do you, like, if you want the reflection of you to smile, what do you have to do?
I have to smile.
You have to smile. Yep. So if everything is, and now the mirror has a lag, right? So you're smiling and you're happy and you're like, God damn it, this isn't working. You know what I mean? And then you get angry, then the smile's not going to show up because your dominant side is pissed off, angry, frustrated. And then the universe of the Netflix universe says, okay, I'll give you more of that.
The Netflix recommends.
Yeah, and the recommends thing. So it's like, you really have to fully embrace how you feel about something. And I'll go back to me missing my flight yesterday. I mean, it's work, because initially I was like stressed, angry. How could I have done beating myself up? I have, so many things to do. And I was like, I'm alive. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Those things can be moved. I'll get on another flight. And I don't know why I missed this flight. It could be the universe needed me to miss it to run into an old friend or to like see somebody else. That's happened to me many, many times where all of a sudden, like, I'll see somebody in the middle of New York that I haven't seen in 20 years. You just literally bump into each other.
To me, 100% of the time happens.
Yeah.
We have some old friends who helped take care of my mother-in-law when she was passing from cancer. They were our neighbors, actually. And they were coming back into town, and they said, oh, can we stay at the house for like 3 weeks or a month? And we said, sure. And my wife was like, well, my father's there, and it is a month. And I said, Maria, these people they literally took care of your mom on their hands and knees. There's nothing they can ask for that we can't give them. She's like, oh my God, you're right. And I said, and your father's going to agree because it's his wife after all, which of course he did. Sure enough, they happen to be a doctor and a nurse, and Costa gets a hernia this week, is in the most, my father-in-law's in excruciating pain, and who's there to take care of them and bring them to none of it would have happened. Literally saved his life by being there. And I have so many of those examples. I'll always say to Maria, when she's really stressed about things, like, Maria, I don't know, somehow, some way, the sun's going to still come up tomorrow and it's going to go down again. I don't know how it's going to happen, even though you missed your flight or, that you sent out this wrong email. It's just kind of that way.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing if you start to embrace that. And it's a practice. So I'm not saying I walk around Zen all the time. I have that Italian passion in me. And sometimes I'm like, and then, but it's about catching yourself and going, is that servicing this situation right now? Could I be dealing with this? And then you start to become aware of how your reactions are. And if you can become aware of them, you can change them.
Well, I wrote down what you said. Why do I react this week? So when you do have those reactions, and say you can't help it, you have a bad reaction. Okay, you go to awareness, like you said, and you ask yourself, why did I react this way? And you explore that, because that's going to help how you react the next time.
Yeah, and if anything, if you explore it, and you'll get to the point, and next time you react that way, you're like, I'm doing it again. See,
there it is again.
I'm doing it again. There it is again. And if you can notice it, then like yesterday, I'm human. Like I'm going to have a reaction, and I call, my wife, first thing I did was call my wife and go, I messed up. I don't know what to, like, I don't know what to do. I have so many things to do today. It's like, I overslept hard, like, cause I was jet lagged, and my flight left at 5 a.m. and I woke up at 1 p.m.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Good
so
sleep.
I was like,
I envy you.
And then today I was laughing about it. I was like, I got a good night. I got a really good night's sleep the night before, and then you just find a way to kind of laugh it off, because the sun's going to come up and it's going to go down again. Yeah. And like at the end of the day, if you could try to look at life too, and it's a practice that I try, and I'm not saying I'm perfect at it, but it's like every day you wake up, it's like it's like going to school. It's like, what lessons am I going to learn today? You know what I mean?
Like that.
As opposed to,
ooh, that's a good one on the fridge.
Yeah. What lessons am I going to learn today? Because everything you react to is a lesson in how you can grow. And a lot of times, like even when you get upset with other people, it's a reflection of what you're lacking, right? Or what you're going through. Like I read this thing that there was somebody gets upset because somebody else is so full of themselves, right? And like this guy walks around like he's so full of himself. Why does he do it? Like makes me angry that person is so full of themselves. Well, maybe if you look at it a different way, it's like, why am I angry that?
Yeah. Why?
I'm upset
Why do we get angry at him?
Why am I angry that this person's so confident? Is it because I wish that I had that confidence?
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe I lack that. Maybe I need a little bit more of what he's doing. Maybe I need to be a little bit more full of myself. And I'm angry that I don't have that. So when you start to reflect on why you're triggered, then you learn some lessons, and then you grow, you know?
That's a big thing, is figuring out why you are triggered. Because some of them are tricky.
Yeah.
Like that seems like an easier
Triggers
one.
happen all day, every day to me, all day, you know, or, you know, you start, my imagination starts to go like, well, what if this happens as bad? And what if this happens bad? And then I'll catch myself and go, take a breath. Okay, well, what if this happens and it's good? And it's a matter of catching yourself. And I'm not saying I'm good, perfect at it, but I do try. Like I wake up, and when I get those triggers, or when I start to worry and I start to have those, I shift it. I just try to shift it, because the only thing we really can control is how we react to something. That's the only thing we have in our control. Yeah.
I love this idea of shifting triggers. I just wrote that down. I have to figure.
Start to meditate on like, okay, I got this trigger. Why did that bother me? And then you start to, you know, maybe it won't come right away, but maybe like a day or two later, you'll be like,
maybe it will. But you know, also, Peter, this is where I think talk therapy can be good, because if you have a good talk therapist, they can help you with that.
Yeah.
You know,
because something that bothers you might not bother me at all. Like the guy yesterday that was pissed off that my friend that was pissed off that some girl was shutting off her phone.
Yeah.
He was so anxious. I mean, he literally took the cord. He was like, I took her cord out and I ripped it out. And I was like, wow, that's a big reaction. Like, what? Why does that upset you so much? Like, what is it about the control of flying that bothers you? Like, explore that.
Yeah, what was it? Do you think he just was so freaked out by flying?
I think
a lot of people obeying the rules, and he does obey the rules. I'm guessing
that could be it. I mean, but I don't know. Like, that's something for him to explore. Like, I abide by rules, and when other people don't, it pisses me off. But also, maybe he abides by the rules too rigidly, and he needs to lose. So maybe that's, if you looked at it as a lesson, he could have been like, why was I so triggered by that? Maybe I need to be less, rule oriented in my life. You know, maybe that would make me less stressful. But a lot of flying stuff is control. It's like you're on a plane, something, turbulence is happening beyond your control. The pilot's flying you. That's a lot of faith to give into one person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you explore the other side of that, when you're under hypnosis and you're like, well, fly, it's way safer to fly. There are way fewer accidents. Flying could be fun. Flying for me, I've trained myself to go to sleep before the flight even takes off. And it's a beautiful thing because I could like get on the flight and close my eyes, and I love the sound of the white noise. And I've just made it, in my mind, something that's enjoyable, something where I could catch up on sleep, read a script. Nobody could get to me.
I love it. No, please. I love it. I feel like
I can't get
flying on a recliner.
And it's but these are like, you create the story in your mind. And when you create the story in your mind, then you believe that, right? So his story in his mind is the plane's going to go down. There's too much. If turbulence happens, it could, it's raining outside. What if lightning strikes us? And it's the same thing as the stick on the ground. He's seeing a snake. You know what I mean?
I think what you nailed though with the plane is loss of control. I think that's what is, when I think of, politically speaking, how up in arms everyone is on the left and the right about politics. I feel like that's really what it, I'm only having that realization through you, but I feel like a lot of people, when I hear them complain, it's like they feel somehow there's some kind of loss of control over their lives.
Mm-hmm. So it's their belief system that's being questioned too. Nobody likes their belief system questioned, right? So with politics, it's tough because you have certain people getting their news source from one area, and you have other politics where they're getting their news source from another area. Yeah. So
to reinforce their beliefs.
They're just two complete different belief systems. So that's why they're like, never talk religion, never talk politics at a dinner table, because you're never going to win, because you're fighting over two belief systems that are like,
Peter, we were at this one, a poor friend of ours had a UFC night everyone, he hired a cook and everyone, and made dinner. And this 2 guys started talking politics, and one guy was one of those big, loud alpha male types. And it was like he was of the "I'll die to be right" variety.
Yeah.
And he literally just wouldn't stop. And like you could just see the room just kept clearing out more and more people. Except of course me, because I enjoyed the show so much.
You got the popcorn out.
Yeah. Well, I also was there because I thought they were gonna go to blows. And so I was like, I'm the only one who probably can like keep these guys apart. And and even at the end, the one side said, "Oh, I'm sorry it went to that," and the other guy still wouldn't stop. And I was like, "Whoa, talk about." And that's why Maria's always like, "No politics." She doesn't say the religion thing because that's not really as relevant today. But yeah, it's. But I think it's that loss of control, and the hypnosis is a great way to explore it. And then, are you familiar with the work of Dr. Amen?
Oh yeah,
brain doctor.
I mean, yeah, he's I've seen him actually. I've had my brain scanned.
Same with me, and
he's great.
Yes, and his whole thing is he runs you through that kind of truth test. Is this absolutely true?
Yeah,
that the plane is, that the plane's going to go down, or I know that I'm going to have all my rights taken away, or I'm going to lose all my money, or I'm going to not have my health provided for, whatever it is. But that's a neat way too. But I'm more with you on subconscious.
But if you break that down though, what Dr. Amen is saying is like, is the plane going to go down? Is that true? You start to step by step break down your belief system. It's all about belief, honestly. Like, there's a perfect example of this. There was a guy, and I don't remember the runner's name, but there's a guy that could only run the mile in a certain amount of time. And for years, nobody could break that record of the mile run, right?
Yeah.
Years, decades. And then one person
it was Roger, I think Bannister, from England, and he wasn't even a runner.
Yeah.
And when he broke it, was like, it could be broken.
The minute he broke it,
that was it.
The next week, people were breaking it left and right. High school kids were breaking it. It's a belief system.
So, and this was 100 years ago. How do we not embrace this? I'm glad people are waking up to embrace this today. Because
I feel like there's more of an awakening. People talk about, awareness more. Mm-hmm. We just didn't grow up with that, I didn't grow up with that.
And the information wasn't as available either. You went to an encyclopedia you pulled out of the.
We just had the encyclopedia set. Right. That was where we got all of our information. Every year you get the appendix with much more information. Now there's just so much information out there. It's just it's a beautiful thing, and also it's overwhelming.
It is.
But yeah, it's very much belief systems, breaking down belief systems.
And last thing, because I know we have to wrap, but can we alter our beliefs? I think we can.
100%.
Right?
100%. So and part of doing that is questioning your beliefs. Well, why do I believe that? Well, where did I get that information from? And what's this information over here? Because you can grow if you take the limits off of your belief system, and question it. The more you question things like, why am I afraid of flying? Or why am I triggered by this? And then the next time it's about changing your perception. I have a dad who worked 6 days a week. He had one day off. And I grew up with a mom who was always like, your dad's working so hard for our family. And, he's putting you guys through school. My belief system was my dad was a hero. Now, if my mom was like, your dad's never around, I have to do everything around here. Ooh. It's like, he's not a family man. I would have hated my dad, So you kind of get limited belief set when you're younger, and then you hold on to them. And then you start looking for confirmation.
To reinforce those limiting beliefs.
Beliefs, right?
Yes.
And so for you, you're like, oh, well, every time I'm under pressure, I do well. But you're creating that, right? So you could create the other side of it of every time I get excited and do something with pure love, I do well. And you start reinforcing that, hypnosis is basically meditation that's guided, that's giving you suggestions that you already want.
So, and listen, I know you're not a professional in the sense you have clients or whatever. I wish is there any recommendations we can give to people about where they can find a good hypnotherapist?
Hypnosis, you could just hypnosis near me and then basically look up their Yelp reviews,
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, it's the best nap you'll ever take. Because, when you get into that, a deep lap.
Yes.
And you wait, when you go under, you feel like your breathing's really slow. You feel that heaviness. You feel like, and then when you come out of it, you're like, whoa, it's like a trip. Sometimes you're more aware. So it's not like you have to be asleep the whole entire time. Your conscious mind will kind of drift in and out. You'll pick up words here and there. But if you're truly relaxed, you'll hear parts of it, not hear parts of it. It doesn't matter. Your subconscious is what's, gathering up all the information. I know we got to go, but if you want to do like a 3-minute little meditation thing I could give you a tool, and the audience a tool to like
I would love
help
that.
calm them.
Do we have time, Kelsey?
Heck yeah, let's do it.
All right. You could cut out some of the other bullshit we were talking about.
I don't.
No,
No,
it was
I think
so
no.
good.
Listen, Peter, it was very helpful, and it's just coming back to LA because I've been away from LA, and so I'm carrying into LA a lot of baggage with me.
Yeah.
It's really hot here now. We have mosquitoes. We never did. Why do I have to be here? Everyone I know was smart and left, and I want to be in nature. And I realized, oh my goodness, I'm putting that out there.
Yeah,
but what do you
those
think?
are the stories that you're telling.
And
then
the mirror I'm going to
it.
get back. But you know why the universe has really been good to me is because they keep showing me amazing, kind people and good friends here and moments of humanity I keep seeing, thank goodness, to smack me upside the head and be like, stop it. So, and
when you got to quiet that voice in your mind that's doing that. Cause like, it's not always right. We want to believe it all the time.
It's not
like that little voice in our head that chatters, but it's not, it's like 50-50 for me, like 60-40. Like
I think it is for most of us.
There's the trueness where if you calm your mind down and go inside, there's this gut that tells you, yes, do that, or call this person, and that those instincts. But it's hard to defer sometimes between that and the chatter that's just like all day long chattering. This is, and it's raining and it sucks here. Because you could be like, oh my God, this is, if you were out somewhere freezing, you'd be like, oh my God, I'm so happy to have the sun,
Yeah.
This is great. It just kind of changed that story. It's the stories in your mind. But I'm going to give you, let's do this.
Okay.
So what I want you to do, put your pen down, just relax, put your feet firmly on the floor. You can put your hands wherever it makes you feel comfortable. Okay. It's not a hypnosis. I'm not going to turn you into a chicken. I just want you to feel good.
I wouldn't mind being a chicken.
I know. I was like, that
I'd be an
sounds
amazing chicken.
So if you're at home listening, relax in your chair, just take a deep breath in and then let it out. There you go. Let your shoulders drop a little bit. And now you're relaxed a little bit more, right? Now I want you to just take another deep breath in for 5 and then let it out for 5. Breathing is one of the most important things you could do to calm your nervous system. Even if you go breathe in for 5 and out for 5 when you're stressed, it'll calm your nervous system down like tenfold. In for 5 and out for 5. I just want you to quiet your mind. You have nowhere to be, nowhere to go for the next few minutes. It's just, focus on relaxing. That's all I want you to do. Just keep your eyes closed and listen to the sound of my voice. I want you to put your awareness and your attention now on the center of your chest. Just imagine your heart beating. Put your attention there and keep breathing in for 5 and out for 5 as you're doing that. In for 5 and out for 5. Just imagine now, I want you to imagine like a white light around your heart. And as you're breathing in and out, imagine that light. And you could give it a color if you like, whatever color you like. Just imagine it getting brighter and brighter. The more relaxed you get, the brighter it gets. More relaxed now. Now just take that energy, that light that's around your heart, and just let it kind of just melt into your body so that you feel that light kind of light up your body. Imagine that light just lighting up your body now. Yeah, nice and relaxed. There you go. And then take your imagination, just imagine that light now filling up the room. You just bathe in that light, and that light relaxes you more and more. Now, I want you to think back to a memory of yours where you felt really at peace and happy, calm. Could be on a vacation, could be at the ocean, it could be in the snow, it could be with a person, it could be by yourself, it could be with an animal. Just think back to something that gives you that feeling of peace, calmness, happiness. I want you to just really visualize it now and just imagine turning up the dial on all the colors in that scene that you're imagining. See it really vividly, and I want you to turn up the sound too. Whatever's happening there, just turn up the sound. And as you're watching that in your mind, just really feel that serene, calm feeling of peace, happiness. And concentrate on that feeling. And I want you to take that feeling and grow it. Grow it inside you like that light. Like let it pour over your body like a warm blanket. I want you to take that feeling, stay with that feeling, double it, and then double it again. And let that feeling grow even more now and just fill up the whole entire room with that feeling. Imagine that feeling now just busting through the walls and growing all over LA, all over the US, all over the entire world, and then coming right back into your heart. Just radiating that feeling of peace, happiness, calmness. And then when you're ready, you could open your eyes, come back to the room. How do you feel?
I'm ready for a nice nap.
That was great.
That was great.
It's like it literally took us 5 minutes and you get to a nice, peaceful place. Now imagine you're like at a stress point in your day and you can go inside somewhere quiet, close your eyes and do that exercise for 5 minutes. Where you just think of something, create a light inside you, let that grow and, calm your breathing down in for 5, out for 5. And any memory you want, conjure up that emotion. You're like a wizard. You're like an alchemist that can take their emotions and just change them into something beautiful. And then you just pour that emotion out to the world. And as you're giving it out, it comes right back in and it gives you even more energy and love. And energy is healing. Our bodies want to heal. It's like in a homeostasis and then we go in there and we kind of fuck it up, but it wants to heal itself if we allow itself to heal itself.
I saw it with Maria's mom, who was barely conscious, but she was she wasn't able to pass any urine toward the end, but a bunch of healers, Maria and other people on Zoom, were all put their hands over her and through Zoom and were giving the energy. And then next thing you knew, just this release of all the fluids. Someone beautiful. Filmed it because one of the caretakers filmed it. And it was great because she is young on her caretaking journey and was like, I really needed to see this because I never would have believed it. But energy, it's real. This
and also like its believability too. Like her mom believed that was going to help her.
Well, she was out of it. That's what I'm saying. It's even more powerful is that she was only semi-conscious at the time. So it really was such an example of the power of energy. But yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. Wow.
That's even more amazing that she was out of it because like a lot of times, like other people, like when you're under hypnosis, you're participating. So for her to actually just feel that energy and not be able to participate as much is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Wow. All right, Peter. So we're gonna need to have you back. Wait. Okay. Question. Sorry. This is fanboy Kev. There's got to be some kind of another installment at some point, don't you think? Where that fan base is so rabid.
I mean, I don't I mean, we did 5 movies. That's a lot. I mean, it's not as much as Harry Potter, but at a certain point where vampires are not supposed to age. So, so we gotta, I don't know if they can do it with us because it's been like 10 years. Although I like to think I don't age.
Peter,
But
you literally look like you're 30. So.
First of all, you look great. Secondly, come on,
you.
that's part of storytelling.
Yeah,
We figure it out. But don't you think they almost, where movies are only blockbuster and old franchises seem to be working, not that that's even really old compared to like a Top Gun, I almost feel they have to. Think of the world of like Star Wars.
They were based on books though too, so I think there would have to be another book, unless they did like a TV spinoff of like some of the characters or something,
like a Cobra Kai kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So so there's been no discussion, huh?
I was thinking like Boba Fett in Star Wars.
Right, you would think
character,
and take it in. But now they've shown us there's so many different ways to do these, and and through the success we've seen of them. It's almost a no-brainer. So I'm waiting to see when. To me, it feels like a when.
Yeah,
More than if.
There's been some talks of a Can't Hardly Wait reunion. That like a sequel. That would be fun.
Really? How serious have the talks been?
I mean, just kind of. Hey, would you do it? I would love to explore that.
Yeah, why not?
25 years later, so it'd be a fun movie to make too, because it would be their reunion, right? So now you get to see all these characters, how they are today, and I always imagine that like the nerdy kid would be like the Bill Gates, he'd be like the richest guy on the planet, kind of.
Peter, why wouldn't you do what I see some other actors do or artists do? Why wouldn't you go and pitch them?
I think there's there's some internal talks. I think the original directors are working on something. So
got it. Okay,
that's more, since they directed it and wrote it, I let them kind of lead the way. But I think they came to me and said, "Hey, would you guys be interested?" And
we'll see that.
Everybody would be like, "Yeah."
That's gonna happen.
That'd be fun.
I'm excited. Okay, and then Peter, where does everyone find you?
I'm on Instagram at Peter Facinelli, on Twitter. So those are the two that I check the most. Nice. Those two.
And I know you've got a lot of projects coming up, right? You have a lot of movies.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 2 movies in the can. I got some movies I'm attached to direct. I love directing too, so I'm trying to make that more of a part of my career. But it's all a form of storytelling. So, like as an actor, you tell a story with your body and your voice, and through that character, and then as the director, you're telling the whole palette. So it's just. I wish if someone says, what do you do for a living? I always say, I'm a storyteller. I tell stories.
Yeah. It's for me, that's hard to answer too, because I do so many different things.
Yeah. You write, you produce, you direct. It's like you're just different ways of telling stories. That's all.
And with Hallmark, are you doing any Christmas stuff?
I haven't done any stuff with Hallmark in a while.
Oh, that was early on in your career. You directed.
Yeah. I directed I wrote a Hallmark movie like 10 years ago, something, but the last movie I directed, actually, Anne Heche was in. She was a beautiful soul.
Poor
and it was Thomas Jane and Anne Heche. It's called The Vanished, and that came out in 2021.
I remember.
And I wrote and directed that, and that was super fun. It's on Netflix, so people should check that out. They should. It's a fun thriller. It's like a whodunit. Thomas Jane and Anne Heche play parents who go to this RV park and their daughter goes missing, which is like every parent's worst nightmare. And then it becomes like who took the kid, and you have to kind of solve the case alongside the parents.
All right, Kelsey, add that to the list for homework. We need to watch The Vanished.
Deal.
Done.
Awesome.
All right,
Done.
Peter,
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
for
sir.
This.
Thank you.
And we really
Peter,
appreciate all of us.
Thank you. This podcast and all related content published or distributed by or on behalf of Maria Menounos or mariamenounos.com is for informational purposes only and may include information that is general in nature and that is not specific to you. Any information or opinions expressed or contained herein are not intended to serve as or replace medical advice, nor to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any disease, condition, illness, or injury, and you should consult the healthcare professional of your choice regarding all matters concerning your health, including before beginning any exercise, weight loss, or healthcare program. If you have or suspect you may have a healthcare emergency, please contact a qualified healthcare professional for treatment. Any information or opinions provided by a guest expert or host featured within website or on company's podcast are their own, not those of Maria Menounos or the company. Accordingly, Maria Menounos and the company cannot be responsible for any results or consequences or actions you may take based on information or opinions.